So this is how you change a battery on a Mercedes Sprinter. So this is actually an Amazon van or a previous Amazon van, and Amazon vans usually have three type of vehicles. They are usually Mercedes Sprinters, Ford Transits, or in some cases they are actually Ram ProMasters. But in this case, we are changing a battery on a Mercedes Sprinter. And this is just a demonstration on how to actually change the battery, because on the Ford Transit, the batteries are actually under the driver's seat. But as you can see, the fuse is actually under for the Mercedes on the driver's seat, and they would usually be down here on a Ford. And on a Ram ProMaster, it kind of varies sometimes. But I'm pretty sure they are also under the seat. If not, they'll be on the floorboard by the passenger side. But on Mercedes, they actually are here on the driver floor panel. You're gonna have to remove this to actually get access to it. And you know, it's not much of a surprise that they're actually down here, because on Mercedes and BMWs and basically all German manufactured vehicles, they'll actually have batteries in very weird positions. They'll be here. They could always sometimes even be in the engine bay, but most of the times they will be under the floorboards, in the front seat, or even in the back seat. This one doesn't really have a back seat, but they'll either be here or back, or in most cases, more than likely, they will be in the trunk of the vehicles. But this is a van, so they have it in the floorboard down here, just because there's not enough space at the actual engine bay for it to fit. So they decided to put it down here. And it's actually very easy to do and not really complicated. All you're really gonna need is an extension, a 10, and preferably a drill, but you don't really need a drill. You just need the Torx. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I also recommend wearing some gloves and your battery. This one is an H6, I believe. But I believe the Mercedes actually take H7, which is a slightly bigger battery. But H6 actually fits just perfectly, and it works just fine. If anything, it works a little bit better because it's not as heavy. But this is actually a very easy job to do. So to start off, you just want to move the seat as far back as you possibly can, and the proper way to do this, you actually want to remove these little Torx down here. But because this is my job and I got to do this quick as possible for time management, if you want to just grab from down here and just kind of lift it up, and you can see right here, this is actually the cover for the battery. So you just want to basically kind of lift this up the best that you can from the corner and kind of wiggle it outside of the little plastic cover that had those screws. And from there on, just lift and kind of just jimmy it around, because it's not really bolted down, this little plastic cover, and you should be able to get it out. Sometimes they're a little stiff, so you have to give it a good wiggle, but eventually it'll pop out just like that. You can put it to the side, and that's about it. And now you're gonna have, on this floor panel, you'll have 4 screws that are Torx. And it's not a surprise that Mercedes or BMWs actually have these Torx, because all German manufactured vehicles will either have Torx, inverted Torx on a lot of the screws and bolts that they use. Don't know why, but that's the way that things are. And you'll get your regular screws, even in your, or regular nuts, and they'll be size 10 or whatever it is. So it's actually not hard to actually get this off. So I use a drill. I got a cheap Ryobi drill, and I got a Torx on it, and you don't actually have to take these off completely. Great thing about this is if you just slightly loosen them, So the good thing about these is that you actually don't have to take them off completely. You just have to loosen them slightly, because this floor panel actually slides down, and you're able to just lift it right up because they have an open circle. So you just want to loosen it a little bit, you know, make your life a little bit easier, and you'll understand why in a second. But some of these are stiff, so you just got to kind of give it a, you know, your own little torque in there. You don't want to strip these too, because, you know, torque screws are a bit hard to come by sometimes, especially on my job where you can't get much things. But there you go, you just slide it down this way, and you want to just basically line up the holes, pop it right out, and you put this to the side, of course. And from then on forward, it's pretty easy. You basically got your fuse cover right here for the fuse block, or the positive terminal. You want to move that to the side. And now there's a few things that you're going to want to remove here. So of course you got your positive terminal and your negative terminal that you're going to have to remove. And there's also always a bracket holding the batteries on these vehicles, and that bracket is on the left side. If you're on the driver's side, on the left side by the negative terminal, and there are 2 bolts that are holding it, 2 size 10, and that's why you're going to want the extension, because they're actually pretty deep in there. And there's the little air hose that goes to the side of the battery as well. You can just disconnect that, super easy, and it's actually not hard to get access to those 2 bolts. You just basically want to, you know, I have a very cool power tool that does it for me, so I don't have to sit there and, you know, just wiggle it myself. So it's not hard at all. So we're gonna go ahead and get down here, and I got a little headlamp right here so I can see better. I'm just gonna get down there, and there's one, and we're gonna get down here and get the other one. Alrighty, that's pretty much it. And basically it should just lift right up if you did it right, just like that. And this is what the bracket looks like. You can see right here it has the 2 10s on each side, and a little air hose right here that connects to the bottom. And my job, you don't really have to worry about putting these kind of things back, because the battery is smaller than the one that's actually going to go in, than this one actually. The battery that's going to go in is a lot smaller, so the bracket doesn't even matter. It's not going to hold it, so you can just toss it to the side. You don't want to do these things exactly how I do them, because, you know, it's not the proper way to do them. It's not the proper mechanical way, but it's just the easy and fast way, just so you guys can get an idea. And then go ahead and just loosen up your terminals right here, size 10 on each side. Don't take them off completely, because you really don't want to lose these. Okay, once these are off, you can go on ahead and just remove the negative terminal first. Just go ahead and give it a nice little wiggle, and it's out. So in this case, this van actually has power. The battery isn't completely dead, but I have to replace the batteries on a lot of these vans regardless, and, you know, it's my job. Sometimes you want to get a flathead screwdriver to give a nice little, you know, leverage on these terminals, because they are sometimes difficult to get to. But we got this one out. So you just want to lift this up right here. So this is the fuse block for the positive terminal. Don't break this. I've broken one before. It's not fun. And just basically lift that up. And from here on out, it's pretty easy. You just need a little bit of strength, and this is why I recommend gloves, because the handles are super thin and they can easily hurt your hand, especially if because they're heavy. But it's pretty self-explanatory. Just move these terminals to the side right here. Don't want to touch on the battery, getting electricity. And the way I do it, I just basically come up here and try and get as much distance as possible, and just lift right up, and there you go. So this is the H7 battery, and you'll see right now how much of a difference the sizes actually are between the H7 and the H6, and why that bracket won't really be necessary to be put back in. So we got the batteries out, or the battery, and this is what it looks like just inside of the wheel well. The bracket goes right on over there in that little corner. And yeah, this is the fuse block right here for the positive terminal, and I moved the negative cable over to the side. You see right here, this is actually where the negative cable and the positive cable go inside under this. So that's pretty cool. And as you can see, we still got our Torx down here that we don't need to remove completely because of this bad boy right here. This one, like I said, has these little holes right here, so it'll actually be facing this way. And so these are these little holes. The Torx go right here, and all you have to do is just slide it on downwards. It should just pop right up. So you don't have to remove them, because it is a hassle putting these back on and then putting on the actual Torx screws, because sometimes these cables don't actually fit in perfectly again. So you kind of have to wiggle them around. The best thing I can recommend is to move these cables as far right as possible while still being in this square right here, because they actually have a little lip right here, this cover, and this is where the cables are meant to go. So you kind of want to squish them together, move them as far right as possible, because it's not the same size. But this is the batteries right here. So this is the new one we're putting in. This is a Die-Hard H7 Platinum, H6, sorry. And this is the H7 battery that we removed. And this is a Mercedes manufactured battery right there, you can see. And it still has a little bit of juice in it, so we're gonna take it back. And this is actually a core, so we're gonna take this back, and the Interstate company is gonna come and take it because we got this battery instead. So make sure that your terminals are clean, because one day I was changing out these batteries. Someone left the window open right here on one of these Mercedes vans, and it was raining, so the floor panel got wet and water got into the battery bay right here. And the negative cable, when I was putting it on for the new battery, because of the post was wet and dirty with all this gunk and stuff, it actually almost nearly exploded on me. I got a whole bunch of sparks in my face because my face was right up in there because it was dark out. I couldn't see much, and I had to use my headlamp. So be careful of that. I recommend using a rag to clean these terminals up. Clean anything that you feel like is necessary to clean up, and you should be good. But besides that, all we're gonna do here is just get the battery. And of course, you wanna make sure that these are on the right side. So you got your positive right here, and you got your negative right here. So turn it this way, and it's pretty easy to put back in. Not too difficult at all. You just basically do all the steps I did in reverse, and that's pretty much it. So the way I do it, I kind of just move this to the side with one hand, and with my right hand and my left hand I put this battery in. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that right now off screen. Alrighty, so the battery is in, and as you can see, the fuse block for the positive terminal just goes right in there, fits on the side of the battery right here. You want to push, because this battery is so small, you want to push it as far this way as you can, because there is a small bracket down there that is still somewhat holding this battery down. The only difference is that there won't be a bracket on this side to hold it, because you can see there's a lot of space in there, and this is a very thin bracket, so it's not going to hold it down. So that's in there now. You want to make sure your terminals are properly in, because you don't want these to be loose at all. So I'm going to go ahead and activate our power tool right here for tightening. And we're just going to get this on there. And there you go. You don't want to over tighten these. These can easily break. I've already broken a few of them in my lifetime. And I've only been alive for 19 years, but I have. So go ahead and get your other one. And as you can see, lights started coming on in the van. That means power is activated. Terminals are working, so we're gonna go ahead and try and push this down a little bit more in, and we should be good. So we're gonna go ahead and now just tighten this bad boy up. There we go, and that's in. So now that we got this in, we don't really have to put anything back on besides just the fuse. The positive cover right here is just going to go on just like that right there. and it'll wiggle a little bit. That's fine, don't really worry about that. And we're just gonna see if this car starts now, this van. So we're gonna get the key outs from the outside right here, and let's see if she starts. And there we go. Seems everything is on, everything's working. We got the TPMS light and the airbag light. So this might be a problem with the airbag system, most likely. We also have the sensor, rear sensor warning back here on, and just that the door is open. So the only main issues that we have here is this light up here, the collision one, the rear collision, and this one down here, the airbag light. Airbag light is very important in my job. We don't really want to mess with these because we don't want to be held responsible. So we usually just let Mercedes know that there's an issue with the airbag, and they will handle it because they know their wiring diagrams and everything. Because, well, you just don't want to be held responsible because this is a very serious thing. Same thing when it comes to anything with brakes or anything else. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And just put everything else back into reverse. Put this back onto the top. Screw it down. You want to get the plastic cover too. And I don't actually put it back under this little lip right here. I just kind of put it on top. And that'll pretty much be it. And your car should be working just fine. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's how you change a battery on a Mercedes Sprinter for Amazon vans.